Go, 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 go.
What's going on? I'm Big Diesel.
And I'm back with another episode of I know I'm Coach. Um, and welcome to Flick Filter.
Welcome to the flickiest filter of them all. No, we're not doing Snow White.
See what you did there.
You told me to get ready. You
Yeah.
weren't ready. Anywho, today, what is good, gang gang? Uh, so today we're talking about. Unfortunately, we weren't able to see, this film. I saw it. You weren't able to see it. Queen of the Ring, and it's rather unfortunate because I don't think it was in theaters that much. It wasn't really advertised like that, but you know,
Yeah.
um, it's a whole nother video that we need to do because there's certain movies that are only in certain theaters and only in there for a certain amount of time, and a lot of people are trying to. Directors are trying to say, "Hey, you guys see these films," but now it's gotten to the point where it's like they're not in. Some people just can't see these theaters because either it's the budget, they don't advertise it well, or they're only in select few theaters, or they're in theaters for a certain amount of time. So yeah, just rather unfortunate. So but anywho, that's another video. But today we're going over Queen of the Ring. You got your questions?
I do.
Today we're gonna do interview style.
Yes, this is an interview style episode, which means I will be interviewing this dude to my left
You know.
and asking him various questions on his experience with the film. So, Queen of the Ring. Um, Before I get into the specifics, because what is Queen of the Ring for those who don't know? Because I know it's a relatively lesser known movie.
So it's basically about. Let me see. Let me pull up the stuff.
And while you're looking it up, to my understanding, as someone who hasn't watched it, I believe it's about female wrestler. I don't know exactly the time period, but I know it was back in the time where there really weren't many female wrestlers. Like it was kind of
Well, it's around
taboo.
that time. It's around that time where females were only looked at as certain, only like staying at home with the kids, cleaning, cooking, staying at home, you types of things.
Mhm.
So, IMDb says in a time when pro wrestling for women was illegal all over the United States, a small town single mother embraces the danger as she dominates America's most masculine sport.
Okay. Okay. So she's dominating the sport. Okay.
Um, and becomes the first $1 million female athlete in history. So, um, let me,
Wow. Okay.
yeah.
Impressive. So,
So
um,
yeah, she was a trailblazer. Um,
um, so what were your just
hold
initial?
on, hold on.
Okay.
I'm trying to get to the cast. Technical difficulties, guys.
You wanna hear a joke?
Go for it.
Oh wait, I ain't got nothing right now.
What you saying for?
I don't know. I don't
Walk on.
know. But yes. this brother here is a
Mildred Burke is her name, played by Emily Bett Rickards. And if you've seen Arrow or the Arrowverse, you know she played Felicity, the love interest in Arrow.
Mm.
So she really had to bulk up to get this part, because if you've seen her in Arrow, which I know you haven't,
Yeah.
she's very skinny in that. So
Okay.
she had to really bulk up. And yeah, I have not seen a lot of wrestling films, so this is probably my first one. I was going to see Iron Claw, but I heard it was really heavy. So I need to get back more into it. But if you know me, you know I watch a lot of wrestling. But yeah. So in Arrow, she plays, kind of the nerdy chick, the comic relief love interest type. And this, she's playing, the main character as a wrestler. So it's quite interesting. She's not much of a fighter, so it's kind of like she's had to do some choreography and some training and stuff like that, probably.
Okay.
So let's get into some questions.
So, as somebody who is, you're very much into wrestling, been a wrestling fan for a while.
Yeah.
How well do you feel like the film captured the essence of the sport?
It did very good.
Okay.
In the very beginning, it starts off, no spoilers, just in case you guys want to see it. I don't know what it's going to be on streaming wise, but hopefully it's on Max or something like that, or Amazon. But anywho, so she starts off as a waitress, not knowing anything about wrestling. So I forget what happens, but she goes to a wrestling, match or event, and she sits behind somebody who really knows a lot about wrestling. So she already is on the outside looking in, where the guy is basically telling her, this is a baby face, this is a heel, this is why this stuff is happening, So he's explaining kind of the ins and outs of wrestling and how it works and why. So it gives you I like that, because a majority of people have not, don't watch wrestling. They probably watched it either watched it in the Attitude Era, like in the 90s or so, and then stopped, or they never watched it, ever.
Yeah.
So you already got like 90% of people who are going in to see this film not knowing a thing about wrestling. So you kind of to tell the story for people to understand what's really going on, you got to go into the ins and outs. And I feel like it does a lot of that. It does a lot of good things to where it explains that, like, even though I knew what they were talking about, it was quite, interesting to see them explain certain things.
Okay. So, did it show specifically, like, what pushed her into, like, feeling like, okay, this is something I can do, and this is something I want to do? Like,
yeah, it gives you, a montage, and it's an origin story. It gives you from beginnings and how she kind of comes up.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I guess with that, how do you feel like she did with her performance? Like, was she believable as a wrestler when you compare her to what you've seen?
I thought she was very believable, but again, it takes a lot of training and bulking up. So a lot of part of wrestling is you got to learn how to take bumps, and what that is like you got to learn, because the mat it's not cushion. It's a hard mat. So you got to learn to kind of, like, if somebody hits you, you gotta learn how to sell that move. A lot of people say, "Oh yeah, wrestling's not real." They still get injured.
Yeah.
You know, it's very scripted to the fact where the winner, for the most part, is already determined. But that doesn't mean everything in the match is goes as planned,
Mm-hmm.
or like there's not injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's not still dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So I think what does it well is when she's wrestling, for the most part, the other person is a real wrestler.
Yeah.
So a lot of times she's playing, so she's able to act and play off because that's the thing, you know, you need a real actress to
Yeah.
actually play, you know, the
Yeah.
main character.
Yeah.
Because that's, she's
Yeah.
got, not only needs to do the moves, but she needs to, you know, be
Sell
able
the
to
character.
act and
Yeah.
and portray and make it believable. So I think with that she did good. But when it came to the action and all that stuff, the actual wrestling, she needed a real wrestler that kind of knows what they're doing. That knows what they're doing, so that way she can play off of it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a dance.
Okay.
It's like a dance. You know, somebody's got to lead the dance, and then you just go with the flow.
Okay. Okay. I feel like I'm picking up.
Yeah.
Picking up. So like those wrestlers, and this can be a really quick question, but
Yeah.
those wrestlers that, the real wrestlers that she was going up against, they're like wrestlers that are still active today.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's like little cameos. So,
Okay.
which is cool. But they're playing other real people.
Other real people from that era.
Yeah.
Got you. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, I guess, kind of on that same token, how do you feel about these stand-up performances? Like, were there any standouts for any of the supporting characters?
So, one good one was Tony Storm.
Okay.
She is in AEW. She was in WWE, but she's now in AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, she is the world champion in AEW. Let me see who she played. And she basically has a gimmick, which is kind of like, the Undertaker is a Reaper.
Right.
So she has a gimmick which is Marilyn Monroe type.
Okay. Interesting.
So
is she like? Does she like dress as Marilyn Monroe?
yeah, and she's already a blonde.
Gotcha.
So it helps.
And what's her name?
Tony Storm.
Okay. Tony Storm. Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I feel like she did a great performance.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find her on here. But yeah, I feel like she did a great performance. There was Deborah, the girl that plays Karen in Daredevil. She was in here. She did a great performance, but she's not near a good wrestler. She's not a serious wrestler, but she played. Tony Storm played Clara Mortensen,
Interesting.
so she did good. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you got. There's some other. Walton Goggins is in here as well.
Good old Walton Goggins.
He played Jack Pfeffer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know who that.
Okay.
But yeah, I feel like the main standout was Tony Storm. You had Trinity Fatu, who is married to one of the Usos, Jimmy Fatu. So she plays Naomi in WWE.
Okay.
You got Britt Baker, which I saw her on here and I was like, what? You know, I didn't see her, but
Hmm.
I must have missed her. You had Mickey James playing the fabulous Moolah. So there were some good standouts. I feel like there was Vince Kennedy Senior McMahon,
Okay.
um, who was in here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it had a bunch of people that I feel like did a great job.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Really cool. Okay. So, um, talk about the evolution of the main character. Do you feel like she had a strong character arc? Do you feel like her journey felt authentic in a sense?
Yeah, I, I feel like yeah, it was a great arc. She had like it definitely showed the rise and the fall. Um, Iron Claw is very dark because
Hmm.
what happened with them was so tragic.
Yeah.
Um, the Von Erichs.
Yeah.
Um, but but still, it was a great movie.
Yeah.
But this is more inspirational. This is
Good.
more. It's not that dark.
Okay.
There is some sad parts, but I still feel like it's more of an inspirational like film
Hmm.
compared to Iron Claw.
Gotcha. That's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
That's good.
So I think people will enjoy this more.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, it just wasn't um, advertised well or like in a lot of theaters. So
Okay. Yeah, I definitely could attest to that. Like when I looked it up, it was hardly playing in any theaters near me, and
yeah,
I feel like I'm closer to more than you might be.
yeah.
Um,
Is it for some reason? I don't know what. We got to go into this, but
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
why are they only playing in select theaters? It's kind of damaging some of the performance, and they don't really. When it comes to them talking about um, opening night and
hmm,
stuff like that in the box office, they don't talk about that. They
hmm,
don't talk about how these certain movies are only in certain theaters, so
yeah,
that is already damaging, you know, preventing a lot of people from seeing these movies.
true,
So it's
true,
not always just a, oh yeah, it's not, you know. And I think it goes into money. How much does the studio is the studio or the production paying the theaters, or what theaters is it?
yeah.
I don't know.
So I
The,
know a lot of times when a movie opens, it's it's in a certain number of theaters. So it's like okay, if it's a big movie, let's say it's in 3,000 or 5,000 theaters versus like oh this is a small independent, so maybe it's only in like 1,000 or five
yeah,
hundred
there's
theaters.
definitely an independent film.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, that's definitely a discussion we can go into
yeah,
further at some point. Um,
yeah. Maybe there's something. We'll
yep,
see.
yep. Um, so as far as the drama, because I know with wrestling, there's a lot of backstage drama.
Yeah,
Do you feel like that did a good job showcasing that as well as the politics of professional wrestling?
I feel like it dealt with more of the politics
Okay,
than the actual drama.
gotcha.
Um, because there's a lot of drama, especially you hear the stuff about Vince
Hmm.
McMahon.
Yep.
You hear a lot about that stuff. This was way before I think he was born.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it had his dad in here, but it didn't really
Oh,
show him.
wow.
So he might have either been a kid or whatever. But it's around that kind of time where women weren't seen as, and even back in the Attitude Era, they were only used as like sex objects. Like
Mm,
you had bra and panties matches. You had just them. Like a lot of them were models. A lot of it was basically they were exploited for sexual You know.
Yeah.
So because mostly guys are watching this,
Gotcha.
but now, right now, there's like women have like because back in the Attitude Era, you got a few of them. You got Mickey James, you got Trish Stratus, you got you know Jazz, you got um, Lita. Most of those were the main ones that were kind of getting pushed and everything like that.
Yeah.
And you still got a Faith, you got Charlotte, you got Becky,
Yeah.
you got Bianca, you got certain people who, of course, who are always getting pushed. The Rhea Ripleys, the Liv Morgans. You know, you got the Mercedes Moné's. You got certain people, Tony Storms. You got them that basically are always kind of in the title picture. So still, you got these underlings that are like they're trying to get to the top, but it's like when you only put in a certain kind of certain wrestlers,
Yeah.
they're getting scraps.
Gotcha.
So I feel like they come a long way because even though they are wearing some revealing clothing, they're not. It's not as bad as it's not sexually, um, what's the word like?
Explicit push.
Yeah. Provocative, as it used to be.
Gotcha.
So that's come pretty far. So yeah, I would feel like this character Millie Burke. I felt like if it wasn't for her, there would be no leaders, there would be no Pages, there would be no AJ Lee's, the Trish Stratus. Like if it wasn't for her, women's wrestling would have never came this far.
Yeah.
So I think it did a great job showcasing what she did to kind of push that to make people realize that women can do this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of politicking to where you're talking to people who are saying, "Oh yeah, wrestling's not real. Why would women want to get into it?" You got some of that politicking, but you don't got the other side of maybe the drama. There was still kind of a lot of drama that was backstage, and I feel like to do that, you gotta kind of. I mean, for one, if you're interested in it, like do a little deep dive if you're curious about it. But also, there needs to be more biopics. There needs to be more documentaries, like more behind the scenes showing what happened.
Gotcha.
Because it's not all in the know.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of behind the curtains type.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So you kind of touched on a couple things I was gonna ask, but to me it sounds like there were I guess there were a lot of themes as far as like different things that that female wrestlers, that women, they had to overcome back then. Were there any moments that surprised you, that were like, oh, I didn't know this happened, or oh, that was an event that I didn't know it went that way, or even the way they displayed it didn't even kind of come as a surprise.
I mean, it all was a surprise just because this was so far back. I didn't know. I know about Moolah. I know about but there's a lot of these characters I did not know back then. So it was still kind of back then where. So there was the Mae Young. I think the girl that plays Mae Young, I think she did a great job. So yeah, nothing. There was only certain wrestlers I knew that were in this that I was like, oh, but there is kind of something happens. Not to give spoilers, but something happens to where kind of gets tragic, and it's like, dang, I didn't know that happened. Because I didn't hear about it. Like people don't talk about it. So, again, it goes into the like there needs to be more, you know,
Yeah.
kind of yeah, behind the scenes.
Gotcha. Um, Shifting gears a little bit, what do you feel like? Because I know you've told me you haven't seen too many wrestling biopics. You mentioned the Iron Claw a couple of times.
There's the Iron Claw. There's the
The
wrestler with
wrestler.
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
There's this one.
what's it? Fighting with My Family. That was one.
Fighting with My Family that deals with Paige, aka Soraya.
Um, so
Which was more of a comedy, which is kind of weird. I wish there was more of a serious version. I don't know why they did it as a comedy, but
yeah, that had
it
Florence
worked.
Pugh, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she played Paige. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before she got like really famous, I think it was the Marvel movies that kind of blew her up.
Maybe.
Like that was the. I'm pretty. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, well, probably.
It
I
started.
already knew
It
about-
started
yeah.
with fighting with My Family,
Yeah.
but then there's like Marvel, really. You know, but that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah. What I guess so along the same that same topic. What do you feel like are some other wrestling biopics or wrestling movies you would like to see?
Um, because I thought about this a
Yeah.
lot. Like if I ever did movies or directed any, which, you know, if they do them, I'd be fine with. But I would love to do like an Eddie Guerrero movie. I think that would be fire. It might be a little tragic, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
I think it would still be good. Um, Probably get some Oscars or whatever. Um, Booker T.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a great one. Edge would be a great one. Um, there's so many. Undertaker,
Mm-hmm.
Shawn Michaels, Triple H, um, Stephanie McMahon. Um, there's a lot of people that There's a lot of them. I think people should. I think there needs to be more. But for that to happen, people need to go see these movies. Even the independent ones, and that's why it's kind of like, you know, you pay with your wallet.
Yeah.
I mean, you vote with your wallet. Like, they won't know. That's why you got to kind of see these films in the theaters, because that's how they know what's gonna sell and what's not. If you don't go to the film to see, if you don't go to the theaters to see it, one, they'll stop making those kind of films,
Yeah.
and two, um, after a while, if they start seeing that nobody is really going to the theater, they're just waiting for streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, the theaters are going to be obsolete, and they're just going to show it on streaming. So now you get that theater experience taken away, you know, and I feel like our kids are not going to know like what it was like to see a movie in the theater.
Yeah.
You
A
know.
movie theater. What's that?
Right.
They used to show movies in places that's not our phones or tablets.
So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why it's kind of really important to kind of, if you can, go see these movies. If you want to see it, go see it, regardless of if somebody says it was good or not, what Rotten Tomatoes says, or go see it for yourself, because you might have a different opinion than they do. You know, you might actually like the film that they said was terrible. You know. I've had that happen many times to where I was like, hey, it wasn't really that bad, you know. So yeah, just go see these films. But yeah, that's how they know. But yeah, I feel like there needs to be a lot more wrestling films.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What's I guess last question. What's something someone should know who's not into wrestling? What should they know before going to see this movie, Queen of the Ring?
Um, so they should really know like what, like I said, it goes into like kind of the theatrics that wrestling is not fake, for one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's been a lot of deaths, people that died in the ring. There's a lot of, a lot of people say wrestling's fake. It's scripted. So yeah, the winner may be determined, but there's been certain times where somebody got injured during the match, and they either finished the match because they had to finish the match,
Yeah.
or it got called off, or anything, and it didn't happen the way it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Just because, I think a lot of people have a negative inclination of what wrestling is, and I feel like it's not what you think. Yeah, even if you do say it's fake, yeah, let's say it's fake. Movies are fake all the time. You see a Marvel movie,
Those are
Iron Man is not real. So, I say, just give it a try. See how you like it. Don't just hate on something just because you don't understand it. But yeah, it was a lot of stuff had to happen for us to get to where we are now.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good time to get into wrestling or get back into wrestling, because you got so many, things happening that are like groundbreaking. You got black, like first black champions in AEW, where, there's a lot of politicking in it. There's certain people that get pushed, but a lot of times, there's AEW, there's New Japan, there's not just WWE. So
Yeah.
you can find what you like and just see how you like it. You like TNA, or whatever. I think everybody should just give it a shot, see how they like it, and you may like it, or you may not. But I feel like you should still just give it a chance before you hate on it.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody has their own, I think, either misconceptions or biases going in.
Yeah.
So I think that's good that you explain that, especially like the whole thing with, just because it's scripted doesn't mean it's fake. Because I think people tend to try to compare it to like other sports as well.
Like
boxing,
boxing? Yeah.
So that may be why they're like, oh, the outcome's already determined, but they're still doing those moves. They're still putting their bodies on the line.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, their bodies are on the line. There's a lot of things that they do just to entertain people.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, like, it's a lot. I think it's an underrated sport, for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, there's probably some questions I was gonna ask. You may have to ask offline.
Yeah. But I would say I like this. I thought this was a 4 out of 5.
It's good. Okay.
Or a 5 out of 5. I don't think it was perfect, but yeah, I think a 4.
4.5.
4.5 is good. I say go see this. If you find this on the streaming service, go see this. If you see it at Walmart or Best Buy or whatever, wherever they say sell DVDs, go watch it. Yeah, I think this is a good family film. To just kind of and see if your kids like it. This is a good time to, like, maybe if they like this movie, they can get into wrestling, and who knows, they might want to pursue a career in wrestling. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I give it 4.5.
Cool. All right. Any last words? Final thoughts?
Dang, last words.
Not my bad.
Last words. Golly.
Sorry. Poor choice of words.
Yeah. I ain't ready to go now. I still gotta get married. But no, that is it for right now. Yeah, so let us know what you thought of the film.
Yes.
And what else you want to see us do. So So yeah, it's spring break. Spring break.
Well, yeah, for some people.
Filming this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is a perfect time to get your kids to go see a movie as well.
Yeah, some new things have come out recently.
Certain films that I wanted to see, that I wasn't able to see, so
Mhm.
we'll get to them.
We will.
Hopefully they pop up on streaming, but yeah. But anyways, that is all of the video we have for today.
Yes.
Let us know what you think in the comments below. Let us know any thing we can work on in any of these videos.
Yeah, we love suggestions. We love tips. If there are any,
Go follow us on
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah,
We'll try to
socials.
we're gonna try to post more on social media.
Yep.
So follow us. Link is in the description.
Yes, sir.
So yeah. And anyways, y'all have a good day. Excuse me.
Yep.
Don't do nothing I wouldn't do if you do take pictures. You know.
What he said.
You know. And yeah, I hope everybody has a good spring break if you're in high school and stuff. And yeah, God bless.
Deuces, y'all.
Later.